Yes, you did.
Have you heard it yet?
No.
It's a good story.
Is Daddy reading you a story, Bubba?
All right.
Yeah. Yes, he is.
My new teacher and me. The first day of school, it was finally here, and I wondered who'd be my new teacher this year. Then at 8:30 sharp, a tall stranger walked in. He stood by the chalkboard and stroked his long chin. He said, "I'm Mr. Booth, and I'm happy to say I'll be teaching you all about fractions today. Now open your textbooks to page number 3.
Oh my God.
And that's when he stopped and he stared right at me. He said, "You, young man, what's that filth on your shirt? You can't come in my classroom all covered in dirt." I said, "Hi, nice to meet you, sir. Billy's the name. See, a funny thing happened before the bus came." I wonder what happened. We know what happened.
We've read this book 40 times
I was
already.
digging to China out in my backyard, and I almost was there when I hit something hard.
Daddy's
Well, I
favorite
dug and I
book.
dug and I dug a bit more and discovered the skull of a real dinosaur. And I would have cleaned up, sir, but hey, I'm no fool. I just couldn't be late on the first day of school. For a second or two, Mr. Booth kind of froze. Then he walked up to me and he looked down his nose. "I won't tolerate nonsense, no, not 1 degree, and your story sounds highly unlikely to me." "Why, of course it's unlikely," I said. "Oh, by far. The awesomest things in the world often are. For instance, this friend of my third cousin Ned's got a farm with a dairy cows, each have 2 heads. That's so highly unlikely the tourists all stop just to take their own pictures at $3 a pop." "Completely ridiculous," sneered Mr. Booth. "Please stop wasting our time and just stick to the truth." "Well, the truth can seem crazy, like that day in June when my grandfather famously walked on the moon. And he played ukulele while flying a kite. It was all in the papers. You heard of it, right? You know what? My grandfather even implied someday he might take me along for the ride." The class started cheering, take us too." Then Mr. Booth bristled and snapped, "That'll do. Pure poppycock class, please be quiet. Be still, he is not going off to the moon and never will." "That's all right," I told him. "The moon is okay. But I've been to a much cooler place anyway. I just went on vacation with my dad and mom to an island somewhere between Norway and Guam, where the blueberry muffins grow right on the trees and you flip inside out every time that you sneeze. And all the rabbits say moo and the poodles go neigh, and the traffic light covers are pink, blue, and gray."
Good sneeze.
Ooh. "Oh, and every third Thursday, about 1:30, all the gravity stops. Wow, was that ever fun? There's a squid eating contest, and hey, if you win it, they let you be king for exactly 1 minute. Then everyone does what you tell them to do. Man, I sure hope we get to go back next year, too." Mr. Booth didn't care for that story 1 bit. He furrowed his brow and said, "Okay, that's it. Admit that your stories are simply absurd. I just do not believe them, not 1 single word." Then I cleared my throat and said, "Well, sir, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean it's not so. Just because you can't imagine it doesn't mean that it simply can't be or won't ever be seen. I'll bet every great thinker and leader we've got could see all kinds of things that other people could not. So then, why get upset if somebody like me tries to look at the world just a bit differently? Enough, Mr. Booth said. No more of these stunts.
I'm liking that root beer.
You'll march straight to the principal's office at once. Then something slipped from my book as I walked to the door. Mr. Booth picked it up. What do you think it was?
I know.
That's what I think it is too. I think you're right. I think you're right.
Nathan knows.
Nathan knows. And his jaw hit the floor. It was me and the cow with not one head but two. Oh, he said, I said, I was planning to give that to you. It's a little good luck gift. I got it for free. He stared hard at the photo and then looked back at me. I avoided the principal's office that day. In fact, old Mr. Booth put my gift on display. He steals a quick glance at it once in a while, and I'm not even kidding. I once saw him smile. We should get along just fine, and it's certainly clear there's a lot we'll be teaching each other this year, like how all my stories are perfectly true. Except, well, for maybe a detail or two. You see, his room shows all the pictures of his adventures. Yes, it does. See the squid? Mm-hmm. I love how the dinosaur's head is actually true. It's in the backyard. The end. After school, you had to go get the dinosaur head. The end. I know, that's your favorite book. Mine too. Yes. My new teacher. Maybe Mobo wants to read one.
What would you like Mama to read you, Bubba?
When I grow up.
That's what Dad